Hello students, this is the second and the last part of the inferior vena cava. The last video I have done about the structure, the formation, the location, the dimensions of IVC and its relation, and little bit of the tributaries of IVC. I will continue with the tributaries of IVC and the applied anatomy of IVC, and with this we'll finish the inferior vena cava. Now, the tributaries of the IVC are those which directly enters into the IVC and are those which do not directly enter into the IVC but via some other vein. Okay. Now there are direct tributaries of the inferior vena cava. The direct tributaries of the inferior vena cava means it directly opens into the IVC. It directly opens into the IVC. So these are the direct tributaries of the inferior vena cava. So which are the direct tributaries? First direct tributary of the inferior vena cava is the hepatic veins. So these are the hepatic veins, and these are the first direct tributaries of the inferior vena cava which directly opens into the IVC and drains blood from the liver to the IVC and then into the right atrium. Okay, so these are the hepatic veins, the right hepatic vein, the left hepatic vein, and the middle hepatic vein. So these are the hepatic veins which drains directly into the IVC. The next veins which directly enter into the IVC are the renal veins, the right renal vein and the left renal vein. The right renal vein, it arises from the hilum of the right kidney, and the left renal vein, it arises from the hilum of the left kidney. Okay, so this is right kidney and this is left kidney, right renal vein and the left renal vein. Now, if you see in the diagram, it is clearly seen that the left renal vein is much longer as compared to the right renal vein. The length of the right renal vein is just 2.5 centimeter and that of the left renal vein is 7.5 centimeter. Okay, why this difference? Because the left renal vein is obviously arising from the left side of the kidney, so it has to cross the midline and enter the IVC on the right side. So it crosses from the left, the midline, and then on the right side. That's why the left renal vein is longer than the right renal vein. Okay, now there are certain veins. Okay, some veins, they open directly into the inferior vena cava, but some veins of the right side, they open into inferior vena, but some veins, the corresponding veins on the left side, they open into the left renal vein. Now some veins on the right side, they open directly into the inferior vena cava, but the corresponding veins on the left side, they open indirectly into the inferior vena cava. Now which are those veins? Now if you see this diagram here, this is the IVC, this is the right and the left side. Okay, now you can easily see in the diagram the differentiating aspect. So if you see the first vein, it on the right side, so right inferior phrenic vein, it directly opens into the IVC. It is directly one of the tributary of the IVC, the right side. But on the left side, the left inferior phrenic vein, it is not opening into the IVC directly. It is opening into the left renal vein. Okay, it is opening into the left renal vein, and from the left renal vein, it is going into the IVC. Okay, next are the suprarenal veins. These suprarenal veins on the right side, and this is a suprarenal vein on the left side. So this right suprarenal vein, it arises from the hilum of the right suprarenal gland, and the left suprarenal vein, it arises from the hilum of the left suprarenal gland. Again, you can easily see the right suprarenal vein, it directly drains into IVC, but the left suprarenal vein, it first drains into the left renal vein, and then this left renal vein drains into the IVC. The next is the testicular vein or the ovarian vein. Now testicular vein, you all know this is one of the constituents of the spermatic cord, okay, and it travels through the spermatic cord and the inguinal canal in the form of plexus, and this is known as pampiniform plexus. So testicular veins, okay, on the right and the left, okay, they pass through the spermatic cord and the inguinal canal, okay, and they form pampiniform plexus, okay. Now at the deep inguinal ring, these veins, they emerge from this plexus and run over the lower part of the posterior abdominal wall along the testicular artery, okay. So these are the testicular veins or the ovarian veins. Now testicular veins, on the right side it opens directly into IVC, and on the left side testicular vein it opens into the left renal vein and then into the IVC. Ovarian veins, it also forms, these are the ovarian veins, this also forms plexus in the broad ligament of the uterus, okay, this also forms plexus in the broad ligament of the uterus. Now these two veins arising from the plexus accompany the ovarian artery. So this ovarian veins, they accompany the ovarian artery, okay. So this ovarian vein also on the right side it opens directly into IVC, on the left side it opens into the lumbar veins, okay. So these are the indirect tributaries of the inferior vena cava. So direct tributaries of the inferior vena cava are the hepatic veins, the right, left and the middle, and the renal veins, the right renal veins and the left renal veins, okay. Now the tributaries on the left side, that is the left inferior phrenic vein, the left suprarenal vein, the left testicular or ovarian vein. On the left side, they drain first into the left renal vein and then into the IVC, and the same corresponding veins on the right side, that is the right inferior phrenic vein, the right suprarenal vein and the right testicular or ovarian vein, they drain directly into the IVC, okay. So this is very logical because as you all know, okay, the inferior vena cava is on the right side. So all these veins could not be get longer to reach the IVC. Only one vein is the renal vein which is longer. So it would be much simpler for these veins to first drain into the left renal vein and this vein drain into the IVC. Okay. Now the next veins, okay, the next direct tributaries of the IVC are the lumbar veins. The lumbar veins, they accompany the lumbar arteries. There are 4 of them on the either side. There are 4 lumbar veins. Now you can see here there are 4 lumbar veins. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. They drain blood from the abdominal wall and from the vertebral venous plexus. So lumbar veins, they bring deoxygenated blood from the abdominal wall and from the vertebral venous plexus. In front of the roots of transverse process of lumbar vertebrae, the lumbar veins are joined to each other by vertical venous channel called the ascending lumbar vein. So these are joined together by the ascending lumbar vein. Okay, you can see here these are joined together by the ascending lumbar vein. So you can see the first, second, third, fourth, first, second, third, fourth. These are joined by the ascending lumbar vein. This is the ascending lumbar vein. Okay, and they drain blood from the abdominal wall and from the vertebral venous plexus. Okay, the next direct tributary of the inferior vena cava are the azygous veins. So direct tributaries were the hepatic veins, the renal veins, the lumbar veins and the azygous veins. Now what are the azygous veins? I have explained you in detail when I did thorax. They are parallel and medial to the ascending lumbar vein. So they are medial to the, so these are the azygous veins. So this is azygous vein, and this is hemiazygous vein. On the right side it is right azygous, left side it is hemiazygous vein. Okay, so azygous are the veins which are parallel and medial to the ascending lumbar. There is another vertical vein, that is the lumbar azygous vein. Okay, so this is azygous vein. You can see here, this is azygous vein. Okay, they are parallel and medial to the ascending lumbar veins. So they are parallel and medial to the ascending lumbar veins. These are the ascending lumbar veins. There is another vertical vein, the lumbar azygous. So this is the lumbar azygous vein. Okay. The first and the second lumbar veins may end in the ascending lumbar vein or in the lumbar azygous vein. So first and second lumbar veins, they directly drain into the ascending lumbar veins. These are the ascending lumbar veins or in the lumbar azygous veins. Okay. So this is the ascending lumbar vein, this is the ascending lumbar vein, this is the lumbar azygous vein, this is the azygous vein, hemiazygous vein. Okay. So the first and second lumbar veins drains into the ascending lumbar or the lumbar azygous vein and rarely into the IVC. First and second rarely into the IVC. The third and fourth lumbar veins usually end in the IVC. So third and fourth, they usually end into the IVC. Okay. So these are the lumbar veins which are draining the abdominal walls. Okay. And these are the azygous veins. So these are the tributaries of the IVC. Now the development of the IVC and its tributaries, this table you just have to remember. The hepatic part is developed from the liver sinusoids, hepatic vein and sinus venosus. This is the development of IVC and its tributaries. The prerenal part is from the subcardinal vein, that is right major contribution. The right and left suprarenal veins is from the subcardial veins. The renal segment is from the mesonephric shunt. Right renal is from the renal segment of IVC. The left renal vein is mesonephric shunt. The right gonadal vein drains into IVC. Left gonadal vein drains into left renal vein. Post-renal segment of IVC is from supracardinal vein. And iliac veins is anastomosis between posterior cardinal veins. This is the table which I will provide you in the PPT format. Okay. Just go through the table and remember it for MCQ point of view. Okay. Now, the last topic in the IVC is its clinical application. What is the clinical application of the IVC? What is the applied anatomy? The first is the double IVC. Now, double IVC, that is two inferior vena cava, that is it's a pair structure. Now, persistent of IVC on both the sides, that is duplication of IVC. Two IVC, normally it persists on the right side. So if you have a developmental issue, the vena cava in the embryo is paired structure. So it is on both the sides, right side and the left side. So that is known as double IVC. Next is left IVC. Left IVC is, the IVC is on the left side instead of on the right side. So IVC is on the right side in a normal healthy subject, but if it is on the left side, it is known as left IVC. This is also a development and congenital issue. Okay. Now, retrocaval ureter, that means normally if we see the inferior vena cava, it is behind the right ureter. It is behind the right ureter, but it may lie in front of the ureter. If it is lying in front of the ureter, that it is known as retrocaval ureter. So normally IVC lies behind the right ureter, but whenever it may lie in front of the ureter, that is right ureter, it is known as retrocaval ureter. Okay. Now, sometimes IVC, part of IVC related to the stomach or hepatic segment may be missing. So, part of the IVC which is related to the liver is sometimes absent. So, what happens? The vena cava is then continues with the azygous vein through which it drains into the superior vena cava. So, the hepatic segment of the IVC is completely absent. So IVC, it then continues with the azygous vein and then into the superior vena cava. So that is known as azygous continuation of IVC. Next is thrombosis. You all know what is thrombosis. Now thrombosis means there is obstruction of the IVC by formation of thrombus. Now this obstruction of the IVC, inferior vena cava, may be because of some pressure by the malignant growth. Okay, some malignancy is present. Okay, so this malignancy can lead to pressure on the IVC. Also, there may be obstruction of the IVC because of thrombus. Also, in pregnancy, the IVC may be pressed because of the enlarged uterus. So, all these things, whether it is obstruction of the IVC by the formation of thrombus or because of some malignant growth outside the IVC, it's a growth, so it leads to pressure on the IVC. Also, during pregnancy, the enlarged uterus is the pelvic organ, but in pregnancy it becomes abdominal organ, so it can press the IVC. This can lead to edema in the dependent parts of the lower limb. Why there is edema? Because as you know, IVC brings deoxygenated blood from the lower limb. So if there is an obstruction, there will be no complete bringing of the deoxygenated blood from the lower limb. Some part of the blood would remain. Okay, so there would be edema of the lower limbs. There would be swelling of the lower limbs because all the deoxygenated blood is not draining into the IVC from the lower limb. Okay, some blood is still remaining. So that blood, it becomes accumulated in the dependent parts of the lower limb and there will be swelling in the lower limb. Okay, so these are the important clinical aspect of IVC. I hope you understood the topic. In short, we'll revise what is IVC. Okay, we'll revise it. IVC is a structure which is present in the posterior abdominal wall. It is one of the largest vein of the body and it is formed by the union of the right and left common iliac veins. Okay, it is present on the posterior abdominal wall to the right side of the abdominal aorta. Okay, now we'll go to the formation. The formation is, you can see here, the femoral vein on the right and left side, they drain deoxygenated blood from the lower limb. They crosses the inguinal ligament and continues as external iliac vein. This external iliac vein, they join the internal iliac vein on both the sides and they form right and left common iliac veins. The right and left common iliac veins, they unite to form inferior vena cava. Okay. Now this inferior vena cava, it is 20 to 25 centimeter long and it opens and it ends into the right atrium, bringing deoxygenated blood from the lower part of the body. Okay, so this is about the introduction part of the IVC. Okay, next it enters the right atrium by piercing the diaphragm. So it will enter the right atrium by piercing into the diaphragm and it will enter. I'll go into the relation part of the IVC. We'll go to the anterior relation and we'll go to the posterior relations of the IVC. First we'll go to the anterior relation of the IVC. We'll go one by one. First is the liver. Okay, liver is present anteriorly. The bile duct, the hepatic artery, the portal vein, the celiac trunk. So this forms the anterior relation of the IVC. The superior part of the duodenum, the head of the pancreas, which is not drawn here, the horizontal part of the duodenum. Okay, we'll go down further. Okay, the superior mesenteric vein and the superior mesenteric artery. then the testicular artery in males and the ovarian artery in females. Okay, so these are the anterior relations of the IVC. Okay, so this diagram is very, very important. Now we'll go to the posterior relations of the IVC. Okay. On the posterior relation, superiorly it is related to the right crus of the diaphragm, and the lower part of the IVC, okay, it is embedded in the lower vertebrae L3, L4 and L5. Okay, it is related to lumbar vertebrae. Okay, lower part. Now you can see IVC. Okay, the posterior relation is the right suprarenal gland. Okay, the right celiac ganglion, this forms the posterior relation. The sympathetic trunk, okay, this is a sympathetic trunk in the greenish color. The psoas major muscle. Okay, okay. Now also the branches of the abdominal aorta, it forms the posterior relation. The abdominal aorta is on the left side and it is on the right side. IVC is on the right side of the abdominal aorta. So branches of the abdominal aorta is right inferior phrenic artery, right suprarenal artery. Okay, also the abdominal aorta, this lumbar arteries. Okay, left common iliac artery. Okay, the renal arteries. Okay, these are the branches of the abdominal aorta which forms the posterior relation of the IVC. Okay, now we'll go to the tributaries of the IVC. There are direct tributaries, the tributaries which directly drain into the IVC. First tributary are the hepatic veins. Okay, so the hepatic veins are the right, middle and the left hepatic veins. The next is the renal veins. There is right renal vein and the left renal vein. The right renal vein, it opens directly into the IVC, and the left renal vein, it directly opens into the IVC. The right renal vein, it is shorter as compared to the left renal vein. You can see here, the right renal vein is 2.5 centimeter and the left renal vein, it is longer, it is 7.5 centimeter, because it has crossed the midline and it has to reach on the right side. So this is shorter, this is longer. Next vein which is direct tributary of the IVC are the lumbar veins. The lumbar veins are, you can see, the first, second, third and fourth. These are the lumbar veins. Okay, so this 4 of them which drains blood from the abdominal wall. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 drains blood from the abdominal wall and the vertebral venous plexus. Okay, these are the lumbar veins. The next is the azygous veins which are parallel and medial to the ascending lumbar vein. There is another vertical vein. So azygous vein and ascending lumbar veins. Here are another vertical vein which are the lumbar azygous. The first and second lumbar veins may end in the ascending lumbar vein or in the lumbar azygous. So first and second drains into ascending lumbar vein or the lumbar azygous. Okay, and rarely into IVC. But the third and fourth lumbar veins, they end into the IVC. Okay, so these are the azygous vein. Some veins on the right side and the left side is quite different. These are the indirect tributaries of the IVC. On the right side, the right inferior phrenic vein, the right suprarenal vein and the right testicular or ovarian vein, it drains directly into IVC. But on the left side, the left inferior phrenic vein, the left suprarenal vein and the left testicular or ovarian vein, they drain first directly into the left renal vein and then it opens into the IVC. So this is a very important differentiating point on the right side and the left side. Okay. Last part is the clinical aspect. Double IVC which is present on both the sides, right and left. Left IVC where it is present on the left side. Azygous continuation of IVC means the hepatic segment is absent. It may be missing. So it is continuous. Azygous vein, it continues as IVC and then it drains into SVC. Retrocaval ureter, normally IVC lies behind the right ureter, but here it is lying front of the right ureter. Last clinical application as a vein, so it can lead to thrombosis of the IVC. So there is formation of a thrombus, and there is formation of a thrombus and malignant growth. It can lead to obstruction, pressure of the IVC. So it becomes, there is edema of the lower limb on the dependent part, in the lower part. Okay. So this was about inferior vena cava. It's a very, very important topic. Kindly study from the textbooks also. Thank you.